Ball running loose and Stein scores.
Towards Colin Stein. Here's Stein, it's a goal! It's a goal by Stein, what a goal!
They called it an equaliser, but nothing felt equal after that. The moment the net rippled, the silence began. Not in the stands, in his chest. Colin Stein never asked for forgiveness. He chased defenders like they owed him something. He fought referees like they were in the way. And when the fight didn't come, he brought it. He was power with a number, 9. And on one night, that number was followed by the names of the dead. He never ran from the press. He just stopped talking. Not because he had no answers, because some things stay inside, long after they say you're not to blame. They told him to forget. He never did. This isn't about medals, this isn't about applause. This is about Colin Stein, a man who played like a thunderstorm and left behind more than just goals. Subscribe if you believe silence leaves a deeper scar than noise, because what he carried, most never even saw. Colin Anderson Stein, born 10 May 1947 in the grey spine of Linlithgow, Scotland, a town of stone walls, rough wind and hands that worked before they dreamed. He didn't come from glory, he came from graft, before the headlines, before the chance. He was a boy with tools in his hand, not boots. He trained as a joiner, not because he lacked talent, but because talent doesn't put food on the table at 17. He played for Armadale Thistle like he was already owed something. Fast, direct, unapologetic. He didn't move like a teenager, he moved like a warning. At Hibernian they didn't polish him, they unleashed him. 74 league games, 41 goals. And suddenly Scottish defenders started counting days until they faced him. He was no trickster. He didn't glide, he collided. He met Linda during this rise, the woman who'd later hold him up through bans, through guilt, through silence. Before she was his wife, she was the only person who called him Colin when the rest of Scotland called him a price tag. He didn't smile for cameras. He didn't care about the noise. He chased goals like he couldn't breathe without them. And the people in Glasgow had already started watching. The boots were loud, the bids were louder. And the wait was on its way. They didn't just sign a striker, they made a statement. 31st October 1968. Rangers break the Scottish transfer record, paying $100,000 for Colin Stein. The headlines explode. Hibs cash the cheque, and Ibrox braces itself for war. He wasn't a luxury player. He was a solution. A weapon forged to stop Celtic's run, to break the dominance, and put Rangers back on top. Not politely, but violently. He didn't hesitate. 8 goals in his first 3 games. 2 hat-tricks in 1 week. Crowds started chanting his name before he'd even learned their faces. Stein didn't celebrate. He just turned and walked back to the halfway line. The job wasn't done. It never was, but not everyone was impressed. Defenders started circling his name on the team sheet. Alex Stepney, George Graham, Willie Morgan. Men who still talk about revenge after what he did to them. Some got bloodied, some got humiliated. All remembered. He didn't glide past players. He ran through them. And when he finished, he didn't smile. He just stared. Referees took notice, committees remembered his name, the price tag became a target, and Colin Stein didn't care. He wasn't there to be liked. He was there to score and to make sure you felt it. He didn't play to be liked. He played to dominate space, and when the elbows came, he didn't wait for a whistle. Before Rangers, before the roar, there was a cold afternoon with Hibs versus Rangers, November 1967. Alex Ferguson caught him with an elbow. Stein didn't flinch. He hit back. He caught me with one of his sharp elbows, so I walloped him, Colin Stein. Both men sent off. The stands spat anger. He walked alone. A year later, he returned to Ibrox as the most expensive forward in Scotland. Same fans, different noise. They never forgot the fight. And neither did he. Then came Clyde, March 1969. The game was brutal. Eddie Mulheron followed him everywhere, clipped his heels, tested his patience. Stein snapped. Straight red. The Scottish Football Association didn't just suspend him. They took his season. He missed the Scottish Cup final, missed the chance to make it count. Politicians even spoke about it in the House of Commons. Some said it wasn't a ban, it was a message. He carried on, but the target on his back grew larger. Later Paisley, against St Mirren. Another challenge, another red. Frank McGarvey on the floor. Fans called it soft, but Stein didn't argue. He walked again. He walked often. Too often. Sometimes for revenge. Sometimes for reputation. Alone. The officials didn't need to see the foul. They just needed to see the name. He never asked for protection. And he never got it. He just played harder and paid every time he did. 2nd of January 1971. Old Firm, Ibrox. A crowd close to 80,000. Celtic 1-0 up. Minutes from victory. The cold, sharp. The atmosphere thick, and then it came, a low cross, a single touch. Colin Stein, calm inside chaos, equalised at the death. It should have been remembered as that, but it wasn't. Just after the final whistle, Stairway 13 buckled, steel rails bent, boots snapped. People screamed under people, 66 dead, over 200 injured, and a city that stopped breathing. Early rumours blamed the roar, said the goal had sparked fans to turn back, a second wave crashing into a first. It wasn't true. The official inquiry confirmed all fans were moving in the same direction. No reversal, no surge. But myths don't ask permission to spread, and they don't vanish when proven false. Colin Stein carried it anyway. It never leaves you. 66 people went to a game and didn't come home. Colin Stein. He remembers Margaret Ferguson, the only woman killed that day. She'd been at his house days earlier, brought a gift for his daughter. Then she was gone. He didn't cause it, he didn't run from it. But the weight never left. They cleared his name, but no verdict ever cleared his mind. Every year, when the date comes round, they read out the names. And his name is there too. Not on the memorial stone, but inside the silence after it. Barcelona, 1972. A trophy Rangers would never hold again. Colin Stein set the tempo. First blood in the final. The net rippling in the Spanish night. That whole Cup Winners' Cup run was a campaign of force. Stade Rennais, Sporting Lisbon, Bayern Munich. None stopped him. He led from the front, and Ibrox finally felt bigger than Celtic's shadow. The decade was built on goals and resistance. He broke the 10-in-a-row stranglehold, dragged Rangers out of the spiral, and made blue shirts proud again. But the world changes when the anthem changes. For Scotland, he was always waiting in the corridor. 21 caps, 9 goals. He scored 4 in one night against Cyprus in the autumn of 1969, set records no one touched for decades, and made himself essential every time he played. But selection was politics, not just performance. Managers kept him on the margins, rotating names, picking the steady, the quiet, the reliable. He watched, he waited. He answered every call, but the calls never came often enough. In Europe, he was legend. At home, just another number on a team sheet. He learned the hard way. Sometimes the crowd sings your name in Barcelona, but in Glasgow, you're just another forward hoping the phone will ring. In 1972, the shirts changed, but the job stayed brutal. Colin Stein left Rangers for Coventry City. New country, new badge, same mission. He played with the same defiance, running at defences, making room where none should exist. 83 league games, 22 goals in the white and blue. But England never burned for him like Glasgow did. He was still hard, still tireless, but the myth didn't follow him south. By 1975, Rangers wanted him back. He returned to Ibrox, different body, same hunger. 16 games, 4 goals this time. Moments of memory, flashes of the old fire. But the world doesn't wait. On loan at Kilmarnock in 1977-78. 24 games, 8 goals. Stein fought the clock with every sprint, but a ruined knee started calling the shots. There was no surgery to save the stride, no miracle for the man who'd never needed luck. He slid down to Elgin City in the Highland League, the last echoes in the boots. No send-off, no ceremony. His generation played until their bodies told them the truth. For some, the fade is gentle. For Stein, it was harsh and public. A Warriors engine finally giving out, while his peers kept running long after the drums had stopped for him. Some legacies get cleaned up by time. Colin Stein's never did. Decades after the goals, after the bands and the funerals, there was one more shadow to step through. A loyalist flute band in Airdrie, a Lambeg drum, a hall full of men singing, "Here Lies a Soldier." Lyrics sharp as glass, UVF ghosts in every verse. Stein at the centre, hands on the drum, silent as the beat thundered. The cameras caught it, and Foblacht printed it. Critics called it a stain. Another Rangers icon banging the drum for old ugly wars. He didn't offer an excuse. He said, "I've nothing to say." And that silence became its own answer. Years later, another kind of silence arrived. A text message. Telling Stein and Willie Johnston they were not required at Ibrox. No handshake. No thanks. Just a cold removal. Heroes sent to the outer darkness by a modern board that spoke the language of spreadsheets, not memory. First used as symbols, then dropped as burdens. He wore the drum, wore the blame, wore the price of being both legend and reminder of everything the club once was. And still, every so often the phone rings. An anniversary, a memorial, a crowd that remembers. But the silence after the song's louder than ever. The noise faded, but the numbers and the scars never did. 309 Senior League appearances, 135 league goals. He made everyone count. Had the cup games, the nights in Europe, and the legend only grows. For Scotland, 21 caps, 9 goals, a hat-trick, a 4-goal night, and a record that outlasted his time in the shirt. Still, he was too often left waiting for the call, a country that never fully believed. Just another wound he carried quietly. Now, at 78 years old, Colin Stein lives where he started. Linlithgow, Scotland. Not in lights, not in headlines, but on familiar streets, hands rough with honest work. He is not a celebrity. He is a joiner again, building with wood what football could not always give. Belonging. He married Linda, stood with her through bans, through silence, through the wait. A son. A daughter. A family forged by weathering the noise. And the quiet, colder betrayals that followed. Both he and Linda became county bowls champions. New trophies, different silence. No one there ever asked about the Cup Winners' Cup. But on grass and dew, he could still compete for something real. But for some, even heroics are not protection. He answered the club's call for decades. Anniversaries, memorials, the echo of the 66. Then the message came. Not required. No handshake. No thank you. A cold betrayal from men who had never risked what he risked, or lost what he lost. He was used as a symbol, then set aside like a memory they didn't want to explain. Yet the crowd still remembers. At Ibrox, his name is sung, and at every disaster commemoration, he stands, not for applause, but for the names only he can't forget. Colin Stein. Games, goals, bans, scars, and ghosts. Carried the weight. Paid the price. And never pretended otherwise. Subscribe if you know the weight of history never leaves the ones who carried it. Because some echoes last longer than even the greatest noise.